Hey, what's going on, everybody? Justin here, and in this video we got a very short, modest book haul going on, I guess. There's only going to be 6 books that I picked up or ordered in the month of July. So yeah, let's just go ahead and get started, though there is one very good one that I'm saving for the end. I've read 2 out of the 6 already. That's pretty good for me. So I've been trying to read more than I buy, kind of vaguely, isn't like that's sort of always the goal, but you know how it is on BookTube and just when you have a library and read and buy books. So, anyways, let's just go ahead and get started with the fantasy book that I picked up. And I had not been doing very good with fantasy, I'm not gonna lie. I went like 3 or 4 months without reading one at all. But I'm really glad I finally got around to reading The Bear and the Nightingale, and I picked that up. And it only took me about a couple of days to pick up and start it. By Catherine Arden, and this is the first book in the Winter Night trilogy. Really good. I kind of wanted it just because I live in rural northern Maine, which is vaguely the same setting as just kind of rural quasi medieval Russia, which is the setting of The Bear and the Nightingale. Very Slavic, Eastern European influences, Russian influences. Very cool. For example, just with the proper names and stuff, you have a lot of, anytime people are mentioned, usually their full name is repeated, and it's kind of cool. It's kind of archaic, but it sounds really interesting as you're reading it. So I really enjoyed it. Like I said, it's kind of like a mix of fantasy plus folk tale, fairy tale type stuff, I guess. But it gets kind of dark once you look at some of the undertones and stuff. Very glad I finally picked it up. I said I think at the beginning when I started BookTube in beginning 2018, this was all the rage. I'm like, oh, that sounds great, I should pick it up. And then I don't. So I did in 2020. So there is A Bear in the Nightingale. I don't know why I'm looking all over the place to put them. I always put them over there. Alright, and I picked up 2 very short introductions here to add to my collection. Even though I'm not really doing great reading them, they're sometimes I'll get on a spur where I really read a bunch of them, and then other months where I just don't. But I picked up Global Warming, a very short introduction by Mark Maslin, and this is obviously just going to be all about global warming and whatnot. Though I can't remember if this one had a second edition, and if so, I don't know if it's going to be super out of date, but yeah, I mean, it is 10 years old. I don't know, it might be a little out of date, but still a very short book. Like I said, if it is, I might upgrade it. I don't know why I didn't think of that. Well, it's because I think I had another one called Global Catastrophes or something, and that was in the second edition. I realized, oh yeah, a lot of these do have second editions and stuff. But anyways, it's a good topic. Always need to stay informed and whatnot. It's gonna be kind of sad to see actually if I do read it, kind of what has been predicted and what actually came to pass, and how it might have actually, some of the predictions probably were actually short of how bad it was actually going to be. So there is that one. And then another one that I thought was interesting, plus I really like the cover setup on this one, because they're all kind of plays on this art style. I don't know if there's an original painting and they just kind of changed the colors and style a little bit, but this one is David DeGrazia's Animal Rights, a very short introduction. And I'm all about wildlife and animals and conservation and everything, though I know almost nothing about animal rights or the animal rights movement. To be honest, most of my books actually don't really touch on that, or if they do, it's very cursory or tangentially or whatever. I think those are the right words. So I don't, like I said, I don't actually know much about it. So I actually, when I saw this one, I was like, this one actually makes a lot of sense for me to pick up, because it's going to be a good introduction to this topic that I don't know too much about. And like I said, always check some of these out. I think they're really good overall. The series as a whole is outstanding. There's a few hiccups every now and then, but I think out of the 20 or so that I've read over the past several years, I think there's only been 2 that was just kind of with. So anyways, there's Animal Rights. Kind of actually excited to get into that one and branch out into a new topic I don't know too much about. Alright, next up we got a history book, and it's a social history of life in the ancient Near East by Daniel Snell. Picked this one up when I was looking for another one that will probably be in my August book haul, and that one is I think it's almost the exact. It's life in the ancient Near East or something. It's very similar, but it's by Jean Botero, I believe it is, or Botero. Anyways, it's all about obviously life in ancient Mesopotamia, Babylonia, Assyria, stuff like that. Obviously the ancient Near Eastern world. And this is kind of a topic. The ancient Near East is something I've been trying to find a little more books on. I just, after doing, I don't know, like the history challenge and stuff, and thinking about different eras and stuff, I want to, like, I've always read ancient Near Eastern history. There's just not nearly as many. Just for example, I only have one shelf of, not even a full shelf of the entire ancient Near East, which includes, like I said, Babylon, the Hittites, yeah, Mycenae, the Minoans and stuff. But I got like 3 or 4 shelves of just like medieval history. So ancient Near East is definitely one I want to expand my knowledge on and get more books on. Plus, I thought this cover was actually really nice. And on the back right here, there is no comparable book in English on this subject. Snell writes well and clearly, and his book will enliven a discussion of social and economic history of the ancient Near East. So that's exactly pretty much what I was looking for. So glad I was able to snag that one. Alright, now on to the 2 science books, and I'm saving the best one for last. This one I have not read. It's The Field Guide to Citizen Science, How You Can Contribute to Scientific Research and Make a Difference by Darlene Cavalier, Catherine Hoffman, and Karen Cooper. I thought this was just kind of really cool. I don't know if it's more of like a high school-ish book, just kind of like flipping through it and stuff. But when I saw it, it's all about just different little citizen science projects that are like online or that are very accessible to lots of different people. You know, like on a lot of the conservation books that I've read, there are mentions of other citizen science kind of, not expeditions. What am I thinking of? I don't know. Like things going on. There is a word I had, but just completely went out the window. But anyways, there are a lot of citizen science projects going on all over the world. Just for example, like Monarch Watch. The monarch butterflies have been doing not great lately, so some people tag them and want to try to record like how far they've gone and how far they go with like their migrations and stuff like that, just to kind of get sort of general population data, stuff like that, and see how well they're doing. And you can like help participate by taking pictures of monarch butterflies and like noting like the time and location, and especially if they're ones that have been tagged, it's really good for the scientists just to be able to pull all this and collate all the data together, whatnot. But there's lots of different things going on. Like for example, photograph dragonflies. Dragonflies are probably my favorite insect, so I kind of want to read about that. And like I said, I assume the book tells you how to actually participate in the projects and stuff, like what websites and what organizations to look into and stuff. And even though, like I said, it's not really like a, you know, super hardcore book and stuff, it'll be really cool actually to find some stuff that I can participate just like in my local area and stuff, because it's something I want to do. So definitely check that out if you want to as well. Alright, and lastly, the book. Another book I'm going to try and force everyone to read. It's The Story of More, How We Got to Climate Change and Where to Go From Here by Hope Jarin. This was a fantastic... I read this like in a day or two after getting it. This is, might not be on the same caliber, I guess, literary, I don't know, whatever that, I don't know why, oh, I'd actually know why I'm doing so bad. It's because it's like 7:30 and I've been up since 3:30 in the morning, so that's actually why. But anyways, this is just a fantastic book dealing with all sorts of just like kind of overpopulation climate problems, not necessarily just global warming or climate change. She talks about how destructive agricultural industry is, you know, the overproduction of basically slaughter animals like cows and pigs and stuff. That's addressed as well. Aquaculture, fish farming, that's addressed. Power consumption, global warming, obviously, just like just boatloads of lots of different information on pretty much everything dealing with the whole concept of how, as a human, or the human population as a species, is just like over consuming practically everything in the world, and how, especially in the United States and in the West, we're doing a really terrible job at kind of lowering it or mitigating it like in any substantial way. And like I said, this is just like, it's almost like reading like bullet points on stuff you need to memorize just to like when you're talking to people on why like different things are bad and stuff. But just as like one example, with corn in the United States, I think the United States grows about 15 billion bushels of corn, but only 1 billion bushels of that, is it 15 billion or 15 million? Must be 15 billion. Anyways, 15 billion bushels of corn, but only 1 billion bushels are actually eaten by humans. So, and she kind of goes into the breakdown of what happens to the rest of them, and it's not very efficient, I guess you could say. But like I said, definitely check this book out. I will be doing like I'll probably do another reread of this, and doing like kind of like a really in-depth review of it as well. Especially when I do Braiding Sweetgrass, it'll be kind of like in conjunction with that. Like I said, it's not necessarily, it's well written. It's very like down to earth and stuff. But obviously the topic matter is more of like factual and just telling you, this is what it is. So it's not quite as, I don't know, prosy, I guess, as Braiding Sweetgrass, which is probably my favorite nature book of all time. This is definitely at least in the top 3. It's either number 2 or number 3. So definitely check out the story of more. Like I said, probably a big review coming. I'm not going to say coming soon, but it will come someday. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. Those are the 6 books that I picked up in the month of July. Let me know what you think about any of those titles or any of those authors. If you've read them or know about them, tell me what you think. And also, if you know what your favorite book is that you picked up in July, leave a comment down below. I'm always on the lookout for good recommendations. And always remember, whatever you're reading, read victoriously.